Hello, welcome to HKUST Business School BBA in Global Business Admission webinar for 2020 intake. My name is Emily Nason. I'm the program director. So we are very pleased that I have 3 students with me today. We are here to introduce to you a little bit of information about the program and also information about application, admission, and perhaps we can share a little bit about the interview arrangement and tips with you on the end. If you have any questions, actually anytime, please send in your questions and we will have a Q&A session at the end and we'll answer your questions, right? So maybe let's just start with a self-introduction. Okay.
Right. Hello, my name is Stephanie. I'm now a final year student and my second major is in economics. So I joined GBUS after DSE through the JUPAS intake. And throughout my past few years, I've interned in finance industry. So I interned in Goldman Sachs, one of the US banks. And I was also part of the UST case analysis team, which I later will talk about more about my case analysis experience. And I was also the president of one of the business organizations that I'm going to talk about later.
Hi everyone, I'm Desmond and I'm a final year student studying in global business and marketing. I've experienced studying in the UK for A-level and exchanged in the US in the Wharton School in the University of Pennsylvania. I also have experience working in different companies like Universal Music, American Express and P&G for their marketing role. And I've also joined international case competitions and I am now currently the project leader for Rainbow Bird, which I'll later further elaborate.
Hi everyone, my name is Casper. I'm currently year 3 student, second majoring in information system. I also joined GBUS through JUPAS intake, which I took HKDSC back in my high school. I haven't had my exchange yet, but I'll be having my upcoming exchange to Stockholm School of Economics in Sweden. And I had experience in Deutsche Bank as my summer intern, and I also had experience in case competition and also being master of ceremony for events.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're very pleased to share with you about our community. I think if you have already done a little bit of research about GBUS, look at our websites, our social media, you will notice that we always are very proud of our community. I think this is very important for us. The program actually have quite a long history already. We are started in 2001. So already right now we have about 600 alumni out there. Each intake is about 55 students. So we have a very diverse community. That's why I also invited 3 of my students to join me in this admission webinar to share more of the experience. So maybe to start, let me share a little bit about the highlights for our program. So our approach, what is GBUS? A lot of students will say, oh, this is not really an academic discipline. So our approach, you can see there are several aspects. I think one aspect is about analytical skill, critical thinking. One aspect is about global perspectives, international experience. And we also focus a lot on mentoring and also application, project-based learning, helping each other. Ultimately, we want to really train and develop future leaders who are very responsible, who are passionate in social issues and can make a difference in the world. So in terms of curriculum, we focus on case analysis. So maybe some of the students can share a bit about what some of the early GBUS and throughout the curriculum look like. Okay, how's the learning?
Sure. Back in year 2, Stephanie and I took this GBUS course together. That is the introduction course to case competition, in which we actually get to work in teams of 5 to 6 people working on different cases, the companies that facing challenges and opportunities, and we're proposing recommendations for them by analyzing the situations and all that. This really helped us to train our teamwork and also our presentation skills, as well as our slide making skills, and to really provide us with an agile mindedness to actually think about how these companies can best respond to these challenges and best captures these opportunities.
I think back in taking this GBUS 2010, we really had a chance to look into different companies, different industries, like consumer goods, e-commerce, a lot of different companies that we probably have never really looked into. So our professor, Chris Doran, he was actually, he had a lot of insights as a former consultant himself. He really had a lot of insights on different industries, different companies. So that's why I enjoyed the course so much, so that I decided the next year I I enrolled in another course that's also taught by Professor Chris Doran. That's called GBUS 3030. That's kind of more like an advanced case analysis course. So in that course, it's kind of more like an intensive case cracking course that basically every week I had a chance to look at and crack one case from private equity, say startup or consumer goods, e-commerce giants, everything that you can think of. We had the opportunity to really look into them. So I think being in GBUS, no matter if you're into or not into case analysis, you will gradually build up the business acumen of different industries. Yeah.
Okay, so other than focus on case analysis, another aspect is really on the applied learning. So all of our students have to do a public service project where they identify an NGO partner or social enterprise to solve one of their problems. And in the final year, the students will get to combine and integrate all of the things, business knowledge and skills they have learned here to do a capstone consulting project. So maybe Casper, you want to tell us a bit about your public service project?
Yeah, sure. So let me share more about my experience for doing the public service project. So this project is actually requires to actually collaborate with an NGO, that we can actually apply every analytical tools we have learned, every theory that we have learned to help the NGO to achieve their goal. And we formed a group of 4, and we found an NGO that is promoting life education to students and to school. After that, we have several face-to-face meetings with the officers inside the organization that we start to analyze what is their business model, what is their biggest challenge. And after realizing that their biggest challenge is actually from the funding side, and we start to help them to build a long-term funding strategy for one of the project that is called Fam More Love, which refers to family having more love. And we also help them to put together a sponsorship package that they can reuse afterwards. And the whole experience is really exciting because one thing is that you really have real life experience talking to industry experts with all those officers from the NGO, because you are no longer doing cases that is written in a business case, but real life experience talking to them, analyzing the problem. Another thing is really about the sense of achievements when you finally deliver your solution to them. Yeah, that is my experience.
Yeah, so that application learning, I think from the service project really set a good foundation. When the students get to their final years, they will do a capstone project. So that's you already did yours, right? What's your experience?
I actually only completed my final year project yesterday.
Yeah.
So my client is L'Oreal, one of the biggest consumer goods company in the world, and my project is to provide a marketing solution for them, a go-to-market plan for them for their latest product for their eye cream for face, which is like an anti-aging product, in which we actually, in which I had previously zero experience and knowledge in this. But after interviewing around 500 consumers and working closely with the people inside L'Oreal, it has become a really good opportunity for me to actually apply what I've learned in GBUS and in business school in the past 4 years. And to actually have our stuff implemented is very exciting. And yesterday, we actually had our final presentation with the marketing director of L'Oreal in Hong Kong as well.
Do you think the client is happy with what your team has come up
I hope they are.
So maybe I can get some advice on the anti-aging after the webinar. Okay, maybe let's move on to another very important aspect of the Global Business Program, which is global learning. There are different ways that our students get exposed to global learning. Of course, one part is about study abroad. All of our students are required to go study abroad for at least 1 semester, and some students will go for 2nd semester. So the coming semester, actually 10 of our students will go on their 2nd exchange. We also have study trips and also other opportunity for students to go out and learn. Recently, in the last few years, we also have opportunity to nominate students to join global conferences, such as those organized by United Nations to look at different global issues. So we also, while we are here in Hong Kong, we also have different speakers to share with us, different leadership and different issues. So maybe, Casper, you want to share a bit about the study trip? We've been to a few quite interesting places in the last few years, so maybe you can share with us one of your trips?
Yes, absolutely. So probably I can share our GBUS trip to Moscow. When we were in year 1, our whole cohort actually went to GBUS study trip, which is in Moscow. And for lots of us, we actually haven't been to Moscow before because it's not a very popular tourist destination that someone might go to. So we are very excited about that. And the whole study trip is actually mix both of learning and also experiencing the local culture. So we had the opportunity to have guest lecture in the Higher School of Economics in Russia, in Moscow, and we have to more understandings about how the economy of Russia actually works. And we also met a lot of local university students, which we have idea exchange, culture exchange, talking to them, sharing about the life in Hong Kong and sharing life in Moscow. Another experience will be about the temperature. It's actually very cold because it's winter. It's like minus 15 degrees Celsius. But we also challenge ourselves to finish and no shake like outdoor. That is really interesting.
Are you looking forward to your exchange?
Yes, absolutely. I actually haven't had my exchange yet, but I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I know Desmond has exchange experience in US. Probably you can share more about.
Sure. Being on exchange is one of the best experiences I had so far. So like I mentioned before, I actually went on exchange last year in the University of Pennsylvania, one of the best business schools in the world, in which I actually got to work and study with a lot of bright minds, where I still remember the guy who sat next to me during my negotiation class was actually a best bookseller, and also he had his TED Talk and $1 million startup. So it was a really amazing experience to be working with all these bright people, to actually learn from them, and to actually have a lot of friends. Now I have new two best friends coming from France, in which I'm going to visit them in the summer again. And being on exchange gives me a lot of opportunity to not only work with the local, but also all the international people as well, and to actually go travel along. So during exchange, I not only went to places around the US, like New York and Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. and all that, but also got to visit Havana in Cuba, which is an amazing experience where you actually get to see and meet a lot of new people, to experience a lot of new cultures with a different, a different perspective. And I really enjoy my exchange.
Oh, that's really amazing.
What about you, Stephanie? I heard you've been to quite a lot of places because of GBUS.
Yeah, so of course I joined a study trip before in Malaysia and also in Brazil, and I also went to I went on exchange in the US. But one more thing, I actually got the chance to represent the school in international case competitions. So back in year 1, I joined the HKUST case analysis team. That back in year 1, I had a chance to really talk to and learn from a lot of GBUS seniors. So in year 1, year 2, I went to Singapore and Serbia with a few of my GBUS seniors, and which they really taught me how to look at different business cases, business problems from a lot of perspectives. And gradually later on, when I became a senior myself, and I really tried to really see, maybe I can also transfer such knowledge to my GBUS juniors so that the knowledge can always be transferred in the future. And so when I went to later on, when I go to LA and also Sydney in Australia for a competition, I had cases, I had say 5 hours for one short cases, or say 24 hours for one long case. So you can tell it's very intense. Basically every second, every minute, it's intensive kind of case cracking, working with your team. But I think back in year 3, when I joined the one in Sydney, we had 10 trainings before the competition, so basically 10 weekends. But I was very amazed because every weekend a lot of our faculty members, our alumni actually came back to school and judged our trainings. And I feel like this is the kind of GBUS, the community that even after you graduated, people will still come back and see how they can help you out.
All these international learning opportunities really amazing. You know, back when I was in the undergraduate student, I didn't have a chance to go on exchange. But you just look at among the GBUS students for each cohort, for example, the map here showed that where our students went on exchange just last year. So they go to many different countries, many different schools. This is really a global network that the students build, and not just, of course, there's a lot of learning involved, but there's also understanding different culture, building friendship. And I'm also very excited about the upcoming study trip. So we are going to Spain, to Barcelona and Madrid. We are really planning the trip now. We'll be visiting a few universities, and also we'll be going to a case competition in New Zealand, Auckland in January. And yes, I do have on the schedule 12 practices ahead of the competition to look forward to. Next, maybe we can talk a little bit about the extracurricular activities, the student initiative teams. This is something quite special because we have a lot of enrichment activities for the GBA students, but actually most of the activities are organized by the students themselves. So students self-organize in different teams on different area, and our students also have many different interests and talents. So maybe Casper, you can share with us about one of the teams.
Yeah,
what did the team do?
So I'm actually the member of the external relations team. For the external relations team, we actually help our students to build connection with other people and other community by organizing a lot of activities. So we'll be organizing activities first probably within HKUST, but with different disciplines. Say, for example, dual degree program. So for last year, we actually have dual organized activity mingling session with dual degree program students. A lot of them is not only studying in business, but also in computer science and engineering or other biotechnology, say, for example. So if you really want to get to know more about people that is outside your discipline, it's a really good chance that we are organizing such kind of activities. And we'll be also organizing activities with other universities student society, probably with HKU or CUHK. For this, it's not only about helping them to build connection, but also helping us to learn how to organize activity, how to initiate something that we really want to organize. So it's also about personal development for team members inside external relations team.
Yeah, we have several other teams. For example, the design communications team. Design, yes. You see the Global Business logo. These hoodies are all designed. And then if you look at our website, our social media, it's all done by the design communication team. And this year we actually have a new student team called Global Affairs Missionaries to encourage students to understand and discuss more about global and local affairs. So these are all very interesting. But is all your activity all just within GBAS and with other GBAS students? That would not be very interesting.
No, absolutely not. So I actually had an unexpected journey to become the master of ceremony for several events. It's really interesting. So how it started is that some of my friends is finding master of ceremony for their students' society inauguration ceremony. So I was there to help. And then after that, I got more opportunity from HKUST. So it's become more official. I become the master of ceremony for a lot of alumni events, opening ceremony, closing ceremony, and also the HKUST congregation. These master of ceremony experience is really rewarding because first thing, you have to speak in front of the public on the stage. It actually hones your presentation skills, and you have to be confident when you're speaking. And I also learned how to manage my stress when I was on the stage. So when you got up to stage, you might be really nervous, but you still need to learn how to manage the stress so that your performance won't be affected. And that is a great learning opportunity for me.
So usually MC, usually people would look for like one boy and one girl, right? So I bet you met a lot of girls.
Not a lot.
All right. So how about who else have something to share about their activities?
I guess I can talk about something I did back in year 1 and 2. So I was part of Hong Kong Federation of Business Students, which was one of the business organizations that kind of connecting all business schools from Hong Kong. So basically all schools in Hong Kong, not just UST. So I think one thing that's really good about GBAS is that the community always encourages you to step out of your comfort zone, not just really working with GBAS students or HKUST students, but also really go out, reach out and talk to different people, different students from all around Hong Kong. So I was the president back in my year, and I was working with a committee of around 17, 18 people. So we really had to reach out to different companies, corporates, no matter it's local or MNCs, really reach out to them as negotiate for partnership opportunities, for funding, sponsorships. So it's really, I think GBAS really trained me to become more confident, even though I'm working with people that have way more experiences than me. I can also look like, oh, I'm confident. I'm here to present to you what I think it's a good idea to pitch to you. And it's also in my committee, I worked with students from a lot of other universities in Hong Kong, say PolyU, say BU, HKU, and a lot more. So it's really about learning from different people that's maybe they're not from USTs, so that's why they have really unique perspectives and different angles and talking about different issues. So I think it's really, GBUS taught me a lot about working with different people and really learning what your weaknesses are and see what other strengths are so you can learn from them.
And not all activities are business related, right? Maybe
Yes.
can share a bit about your activities,
Sure.
which is very special.
So I'm the project leader for Rainbow Bird, the first LGBTQ+ community in HKUST. So if you learned about GBUS before, our motto is actually act with integrity and to actually live with compassion. And just as Emily mentioned right in the beginning of this introduction of GBUS, we really want GBUS students to be responsible leaders who make positive impact on the society. And therefore, I took the initiative to become the project leader for this, the first LGBTQ+ community in HKUST, where we try to reduce the discrimination and injustice towards the LGBTQ+ community people in HKUST and in Hong Kong as well. And therefore, we're really committed to create a safe and diverse campus for everyone, whether you're gay or lesbian or anything. And we regularly hold gatherings, movie screening, panel discussions with academic, and also exhibitions on campus to actually try to educate people more about the LGBTQ community and around sex education and all that. And I'm very excited that next semester we'll be bringing another exhibition on labeling to tell people that, you know, labeling is kind of old school now. You should just move on stereotypes and all that.
Okay, well, we are really proud of the initiatives like this that really make the whole community a better place. Well, so actually GBUS students are very talented, take a lot of leadership roles in different areas. Like this year in 2019, we have admitted 2 students who are actually on represent Hong Kong in different sports on the Hong Kong athletic teams. And a lot of students are very active in service, so we are really proud of all our students. Well, maybe moving on, talk a little bit about career development. Of course, within the program and at the school level, the university provide a lot of support, including mentoring, and we have a lot of sharing from alumni and also senior students and different development workshop. So maybe can you guys share a little bit about the internship experience that you have before?
Sure. I think internship is actually one of my favorite part of university. We actually get to experience different. Sure. I actually get to experience a lot of different industries that I'm really passionate about. Not that I'll work for them for the rest of my life, but it's definitely a great experience so that I could work for them for at least a summer. So for example, during my whole year 2, I actually worked in Universal Music, one of the largest music company in Hong Kong in the world, as I'm a great fan of Cantopop. It's a really great experience for me to actually do the marketing for them, to actually promote the singers that I like, to promote Cantopop to more people. And besides, I get a lot of free concert tickets, making the experience even more rewarding.
We actually have singers among our student
Oscar
body
is
as
now
well.
Oscar is now in
We should
Universal
promote
Music as
for
well.
him.
Yeah. So and
Oscar Tao.
yeah, he's now in Universal Music. And apart from that, I also work in American Express during the summer of year 2, where I actually get to promote a lot of marketing materials for them, to actually talk with the merchants and all that. And it's a very rewarding experience where I can actually apply what I learned from school and from textbooks to actually in real life. But my favorite internship has to be in working in P&G over the summer. So last year, I actually got the opportunity to work in P&G, the largest FMCG company in the world, where in the internship, I was actually trusted enough to create my own billboard in the MTL station. So for a whole month, whenever I take MTL, I actually get to see a lot of ads produced for me. And I'm really proud of that. And apart from that, they actually also gave me quite a lot of budget to promote this video, to create this video, all the way from the idea generation to storyboarding, to choosing the model, to choosing the color of her hair and all that, to all the post editing and all that. It's very rewarding experience for me to actually really apply what I learned from GBUS and to really see what I've learned in practice in billboards and videos. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's really amazing. How about that? You also share your internship experience?
Sure. So I think starting from year 1, GBUS really gave me a lot of support and really finding what I'm passionate about. So we had a lot of mentorship events, career workshops, no matter it's marketing, consulting, startup, government, banking, a lot. So GBUS gave me a lot of chance to really find my true interest, and gradually starting from year 1 and 2, I started doing my own personal investments, and then I feel like, oh, maybe I can try working in the banking industry and try out whether I like it. So in my second year, I worked in Goldman Sachs in a private wealth management division, and in the last summer, I worked in sales and trading division with the sales team and the structuring teams with the equity floor. So I really enjoyed it, especially normally when I do my own investments, I probably just put some money in, I don't really know what I'm investing in. But after working in a bank, and I really know, okay, I need to be a careful investor. Sometimes I can maybe give my parents investment tips sometimes. And say, for example, you can see from the slide, I was in the listing ceremony for an IPO for some of the stocks. So it's something that I usually see from the news, but I was part of it and I was so excited. And it's also from the slide, you can see that, and say, for example, in my internship batch, there are people with very diverse backgrounds, different nationalities, French, Chinese, Indians. So it's kind of similar to GBUS, I think. Within my cohort, I have a lot of classmates from different countries with very different backgrounds. So maybe sometimes the way we work might be slightly different, but it's also kind of like how you learn from each other, how you adapt to this kind of teamwork environment that will help you succeed in the future.
And I know that both of you have already gotten your return offer from your third-year internship company. So congratulations. So the final year should be very fun. You can still explore different interests and make the best out of it. So overall, I think our GBUS graduates explore different career. It doesn't matter which, really. I think this is just a sample of one of the recent graduating class. Our goal is to support students to find out what they are passionate about, what they could be good at, and to develop their career. So I think we have shared quite a lot about GBUS, and I think now it's time to talk a bit about admission. So for HKUST Business School, we have a very interesting and I think very productive hybrid admission system. So students can apply directly to the program, to global business, or you can apply to the school, the business and management program, and during the first 3 semesters, you can, after exploring different foundation course, different disciplines, decide what is the right major for you. So for direct program-based admission, we'll take in about 20 students from GBUS and then about 10 students from the non-HKDSE qualifications. If you look at the 2018 intake, this is about the distribution between the local GBUS student, local non-GBUS, and then Greater China and international students. So it's really quite diverse. In terms of academic expectation, so if you are HKDSE student, then we expect the per subject average will be about 5-star, and you can refer to our website and GBUS website for more detailed statistics. If you take other qualification, for example, IB, usually our conditional offer is at 40, that we require you take either high level or standard level mathematics. For GCA level, our conditions usually A-star, 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 or A-star, A-star, A, depending on the mix of subjects that you have. And for SAT, our benchmark score is about 1,470, and we require 3 SAT subjects or 3 AP tests. So this is in terms of academic, but we definitely look for really well-rounded talent. Not only can you handle your academic studies, but also active in local curricular activities and leadership. Interviews are required. So for the arrangement, actually for the international qualifications, we already have been interviewing candidates on a rolling basis. So if you're interested and have not submitted your application, this is the time to send in your application. We'll do live online interview, individual interview. For HKDSE students, we'll have 2 rounds of interview. The first round will be late April to early May, will be a school-based interview. It will be a group interview. And then in July, we'll have a program-based GBUS interview. This is very important. So maybe, do you have any tips for students who are interested in GBUS, how they should prepare for interviews or prepare to be a suitable candidate?
So I actually studied in the UK, and I was actually studying in the UK, so I didn't have a chance to fly back to actually have the interview in person with Emily. But I actually got a Skype interview with Emily back then. I think it's a very unique experience for me to actually, it's an opportunity for me to know more about the program and for Emily to know more about me as a person. So if I have to give one tip, it's just to be relaxed and to just show who you are, and that's very important.
I think I hardly recall my interview experience, but I think back in that time, it's really something that you cannot prepare. I don't think there is a lot of things that you can prepare, because I heard people saying, okay, they're going to prepare some a lot of business news, something about what is going on around the world. But for my experience, it's just like Desmond, it's really to be yourself, to show who you are. We would like to know you as a person instead of knowing you like you know a lot of things about business. Because if you already know a lot, why you are joining GBUS? But of course, if you really excel in a lot of business things, we would definitely also welcome.
For me back then, after my HKDSC, I had team or even individual interviews, so it's possible that you have either one or maybe both. It's possible. I think especially for the team part, I think what I really learned is I think GBUS is looking for people that are not trying to show that you're the person that knows the most of things. You do not have to be very aggressive, but you should be able to voice out what you think that's right instead of keeping it to yourself. But at the same time, on top of telling people what you think is right, it's also important to listen to people. Maybe what you say is right, but maybe what other people say, they're also right. So it's important, especially in the GBUS community, to incorporate everything that people come up together with as a team instead of having individual achievements. Yeah.
All right. So now we have some time for Q&A. So let's see what kind of questions that our webinar audience is interested. First question is about what kind of people are we looking for, what kind of criteria we think a student studying GBUS should be equipped with. I think from my perspective, I think you also covered it a little bit when we talk about the interview expectation. We look for people who are willing to learn, motivated to learn, who are talented in the things that they do. So it doesn't matter, maybe in high school you study science or maybe you study art. It doesn't have to relate to business at all, but people who are motivated to learn from each other. And of course, we do look for people who have some interest to develop in the, to learn about business and to think about how they can apply what they learn and make some positive impacts. Yeah, so I think soft skills is more important than hard knowledge. So communication is important. You don't have to be an extrovert, like I'm an introvert, so you don't have to be super talkative. I think actually for interviews, listening is also very important compared to just focus on your own talking. And the next question is, comparing with other business programs, what is so special about the program? What do you
I think one thing that is real special to GBUS is like it's like a home to us. It's a really inclusive community that everyone here will be welcomed. Our program offers a lot of things that will be able to help you to develop. Yes, and we also offer a lot of opportunity for you to try a lot of new things, to explore new things, to step out of your comfort zone. I think that is something that is really special about GBUS community.
I think one point to add is sometimes when I have my internship outside in different companies, when I say I'm from GBUS, and somehow some of the colleagues will be, oh, I'm also from GBUS. I'm trying my best to help you out. So it's really the sense of belonging for every GBUS people. Even after you graduate, they would feel like you kind of have the obligation to help your juniors or reach out to your seniors. This is kind of like the connection point for all of us from GBUS. Yes.
We always say it's about the community.
Yeah.
For me, having been involved in the program for 10 years now, so I have accumulated quite a lot of GBUS friends, and I think it is really nice to see also people really working hard in different areas and trying to be a better person. So next question is about if we are admitted to the business school in different programs, for example, marketing or other major, can they switch major? So I don't remember, are all of you directly admitted to GPAS or anybody have gone through the major selection exercise? Or,
Directly.
Directly,
Yeah,
yes. So if you are admitted to school or other program, you can still join the major selection exercise. That is held at the end of each semester. So you can do it for for the first 3 semesters, and your progress would not be slower than the other students, because actually regardless of which program you're admitted, all the students follow the same curriculum. They have to take all the business foundation courses. So actually the first GPAS required course is the year 2 spring semester, so the 4th semester. So definitely you will still have a lot of chance to apply to GPAS if you come through different programs. So the next question is about, is it possible to take an additional major and minor? Well, for additional major, it's obvious, since pay attention to self-introduction. So all the 3 students here with me have an additional major. It's not required, but definitely is a possibility, and in fact, majority of the students do that. Do you know some of the classmates who do a minor, and what kind of minor do they do?
So I actually know someone who does a minor in sociology. So students in UST and in GBUS actually can do that. And I think at most we can do 2 majors and 1 minor, or even.
There is no limit. I have seen.
You can finish as many as you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also considered taking sociology as a minor if I had time. It's very fun. And I think UST does a really good job in offering a variety of courses available. And you can actually take a minor in, for example, sociology, humanities, and all that.
So the next question is, when will non-GPAS early round offers be given out? So actually, we will be giving out offer very soon, because now we are in December. So actually, by late December onwards, we will be giving out.
I remember I had mine on the last day of December.
Oh,
last day of the
so
year.
it's like a New Year gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will be sending offers soon, and the main round will be reviewed on a rolling basis. So as soon as the application come in, we'll start reviewing and doing interviews. So if my DSE result is not excellent enough to reach the requirement, like if it's around 46, should I consider myself suitable for GPAS? I think academic is only one aspect.
Yes.
So for directly applying to GPAS, we do expect around 48 for HKDSE. We have taken students with 46, 47. You really look at the overall profile. But another aspect that applicants can consider is actually apply to the school-based admission. Then we'll really look at your academic achievement at HKUST during your first year of study. Then you don't have to worry too much. So you have different way that you can still get into GPAS. So next is, does being part of the GPAS provide competitive advantage in terms of internships? What do you think? Well, so you two have some internship, and Casper also has some internship, right? Do you think when you apply or when you work, do you see that the employers like GPAS candidates?
I think yes and no.
Yeah.
I think it's really a yes and a no. Like for a lot of banks, I think there are our senior. Yeah, there are our senior. Like even for Deutsche Bank, there are a lot of our seniors actually inside it, like our alumni from GBUS. Yes, you will be able to form a lot of connection with them, and we also have mentorship program, which is specifically for GBUS students. We'll be able to meet a lot of alumni who are experts in different kind of industry. So in that sense, you will get to know more about the industry, but will they really provide you an internship? I don't think that is the real case. So I would say yes and no.
It's still merit-based.
Yeah,
It can help you open door, but you still need to be good.
Yeah. But I think being in GBUS actually provided myself with a competitive advantage to have an early mindset in career planning and to actually, to be more competitive in terms of the workplace. So for example, like the courses that we mentioned with all the case studies, we actually have better knowledge across various industries and also to have better presentation skills and all that. And all this kind of training and education actually provided myself with a competitive advantage, I would say.
Well, I think being in GBUS, one thing I learned is that knowing that you're not the best in the world, because we're global business, knowing that there are a lot of top people from all around the world. So say, for example, when I apply for banks, I know that I'm not competing with just students from Hong Kong, students from all around the world. So it's important to know that you're not the best, but since you're surrounded by all these very driven people, then you will know that even though I might not be the best, I'll try my best to do it instead of giving up right away. I think that's something that I learned from GBUS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So next question is about, will going on exchange delay the graduation or the learning progress?
Well, I have a second major in economics, so I actually went to the US for exchange as well. I do not think going on exchange would delay my graduation since it's kind of a requirement. So quite a lot of us, even though we went on exchange, we were able to transfer a lot of the credits. So actually, it wouldn't really impact your graduation progress. Yeah.
Yeah, so because, and especially since we switched to the 4-year curriculum, we have actually quite a lot of room in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Students can easily fit in all the requirements even within 7th semester. And so with good planning, so it would not be an issue. And some of students even go on 2 semesters of exchange. So I think planning is important, then it should be fine. Next question about entrepreneurial courses that collaborate with technology in the curriculum. Do any of you have those experiences?
So last year, I actually took a GBUS 4000B. That is the course named The Journey of a Startup, in which is instructed by the consultant in Science Park who instructs people with the startups. And it's not exactly collaborate with technology, but it's definitely provided us with the sense of entrepreneurs in Hong Kong, for example, on what journey you go through when you start a startup in Hong Kong. And also in the end of the semester, we actually got to present our own startup idea in front of the people from the Science Park. And the winning team we actually got invited to a meeting with them further on to continue the startup. So there are definitely entrepreneurial courses that really related to startups. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, so I think the whole HKUST and actually the business school also very focused on innovation and entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of opportunities in collaboration, both on the courses level, but also like hackathon events and things like that. So next question is about, what are some of the most popular exchange destinations for GBUS students? I mean, we showed a map earlier. It's really quite diverse. So there are always, I think some schools are always like the favorite, like the UPenn where you went, NYU and Copenhagen.
Yeah.
But I think wherever students go, they really have a good experience. So well, we are right around out of time, so we have to stop here. So just want to have a quick reminder on the deadline. If you're interested and you haven't applied, please try to catch the early round deadline. We will review the application as they come in. For GBUS candidates, also note the interview date, especially for the GBUS round interview on July 18th. So don't plan to go on your trips and vacation on that day, all right? So lastly, if you have more questions, please make sure you check our social media, our websites, our IG, our Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And we are very happy and we look forward to seeing some of you on campus and join our program. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.